Hello lovelies, I'm Angela and this is Parisienne Farmgirl. Bienvenue and welcome to my channel. I'm so happy you're here. Today I am going to be sharing with you just about 10 of the most popular questions that we have received about this kitchen since we started this deconstruction project a few years ago. So be sure that you've subscribed, click the bell, and turn on all the notifications so that you receive an alert every time we bring you new content. And give this video a thumbs up because then YouTube will share it with other old world design souls just like yourself. Before we get started, I want to take just a minute and say thank you to Audible for sponsoring this video. You know how I feel about my earbuds and my Audible app. I use my Audible app every single day. I'm on the move all over the house and farm, but reading next to gardening is my #1 hobby, and my time to sit down and read is super limited. Right now, I'm enjoying the audiobook Long Live the Queen by Brian Kozlowski. We had him on the Homemaker CHIC podcast last week, and I can't get enough of what he has to say. He has such great words of wisdom from the Queen. I'm going to just keep listening to this book until it all sinks in. While heavy as the head that wears the crown, Brian unpacks 23 rules for living from England's longest reigning monarch. With Audible, you have access to fantastic books just like this. Plus, you'll have access to Audible's Plus catalog with select audiobooks, Audible originals, guided fitness, sleep tracks for better rest, and more. So thank you to Audible for sponsoring this video. New Audible members will receive a 30-day trial when you use my special link. So visit audible.com/Parisienne Farmgirl, or simply grab your phone and text Parisienne Farmgirl to 500 500. Thank you so much, Audible, for sponsoring this video. I love my Audible app, and I know you guys will too.
Enchanté.
Okay, let's start on these 10 questions. Again, these are kind of the most popular ones that I've seen come in over the last few years. And the first one is, what color is your kitchen? What paint color is your kitchen? Now, you know, I love a lot of color. I'm not really trying to go for the trendy white farmhouse look. I have this obsession with an old world, very authentic look. And I notice in my books and magazines that many of the walls are a very neutral color. So as much as I love pops of color and colorful, brightly painted walls, I decided to go neutral in this kitchen. And it is Revere Pewter by Benjamin Moore. It's not a gray, it's not a beige, it's not a creamy white, it's sort of a blend of all three. And I find it's absolutely perfect for this space. It complements the stone. I can decorate around it and it never really inhibits or clashes with what I'm trying to do. So to answer your question, the color on the walls is Revere Pewter, and the texture that you see when we're filming is called skip troweling. I mentioned in a video a few weeks ago. It's very popular here in Wisconsin. In fact, I will post a video up above so you can see me doing some skip troweling in my new office. The second question is, what brand is your oven? Now, regrettably, I would not recommend my oven to you. It is a Cosmo, it is a Viking knockoff, and I'm on my second one. So I initially was very happy with the oven, and then I was probably just enamored with having something bright and shiny and new. The more I used it, the more I baked in it, the more I found it to be pretty unreliable. So I am saving to replace it. You might want to just read the reviews yourself. Maybe I got stuck with a couple lemons. It is called a Cosmo, and I got it through Home Depot, but you'll be able to Google that. Read the reviews for yourself, see what you think. I picked it because it had a very industrial cuisine sort of a look. I wanted something on legs. I knew what I wanted to do with the faux hearth area, and I didn't want a backsplash. And so I probably made a little bit more of an emotional decision based on how it looked, based on how it works. So it's called a Cosmo. Question number 3 is a great one and makes a lot of sense. You probably have wondered, where is my refrigerator? I this is a little ism with me. I can't stand the noise that a refrigerator makes, that white noise throughout the day. I like our home to be very peaceful. I play a lot of music. There's always candles lit. And so to accommodate our big family, we have 8 people and we live on a farm, so we grow a lot of our own food. There's a lot of food coming in, a lot of food going out. We built a walk-in cooler in the garage. We did that using something called a CoolBot, and I will post a link in the video description so you can learn more about that. But it's connected to an air conditioner and it keeps an insulated space at refrigeration temperature. It's fantastic. It feels like I have my own little store. I can walk in and select my food. You can watch this video up here to learn a little bit more about that space. It's the fall version of what we eat in a week, and I think it really features the walk-in cooler nicely. If I did have a refrigerator in this space, it would be something with panel doors or something that really complemented the design. I wouldn't want to just do a standard refrigerator. I do find them really loud and annoying, so we're blessed to have an attached garage with a little extra room out there, and so we built an 8x8 walk-in cooler, and that is where our refrigerator is. How do you clean your copper is question number 4. Great question. There's a lot of copper. There are multiple ways to clean your copper, and I think a long time ago when I first was tinkering around with this channel, even before we moved into this home, I did a video about how to clean your copper. You can do it a lot of different ways. You can use something very basic like a sliced lemon with salt. You can use tomato sauce. It's a fantastic copper cleaner. I have a lot of copper, so using that much tomato sauce gets a little messy, as wonderfully non-toxic as it is. So I do use a product called Barkeeper's Friend. It's amazing. I swear by it. You can get it at the hardware store. You can probably find it in your grocery store cleaning aisle. Okay, on the copper theme, where did you find your sink? I have what is called a Chicago Butler sink, and it's pretty big. It's got 2 sides and 4 faucets, and I found it via a source from my mom. My mom's a great antique hunter, and she knew of somebody who had this sink sitting in her barn for a couple years. It was completely black, so it was beyond beautiful patina. It was just black and full of dirt and dust. And so I purchased it, and I sat on it then for 2 years in my barn, just waiting to have a home to use it in someday. Ironically, fantastically, when we moved in, it fit perfectly under the window in our kitchen. So we got it all cleaned up. It was a little bit of a challenge to find the right faucets. In fact, right now I'm faucet shopping because I broke the rule and I bought cheap faucets and they're falling apart. But it's a beautiful piece. Chicago Butler sink. I've only ever seen one like it online, and it was an old photograph from an auction house, and it was this single version. So I feel very blessed to have it. We're going to try to keep it maintained. And when we put the big farm sink in the boot room behind me this spring, we'll start washing dishes out there, and so the copper sink will get less wear and tear. Question number 6 is again along this theme of this sink. What are the 2 faucets in the middle of your sink? Another great question. So when we put the sink in, we put a faucet, a working faucet on the far right and a working faucet on the far left. And if you watch the kitchen tours, you'll see that there are 2 faucets right in the middle. Those are the 2 faucets that came with the sink. That's all that was left. And they are beautiful. They're copper, they're gooseneck, they're very thin, but they are non-working. So I just have them in the center of the sink so I can see what it used to look like in its heyday, in its glory days. I think they're really pretty. I think it would be very cool to have them working, but they're a little stiff, and getting them to work and installed properly is low on our list of many things to do. So the 2 faucets that you see in the center of the sink are non-working. They are original to the sink. Number 7 is a very popular question. I receive it often in email. I receive it often in YouTube comments. I receive it all the time on Instagram. In fact, if you're not following over on Instagram, be sure and do that. You and I can hang out there every day. This question is, don't you need a hood or an exhaust fan for your stove? And I suppose the answer to that question is yes, and the answer to that question is no. Ideally, I suppose you want a hood or an exhaust fan for your stove. I know a lot of people are very into this. They're very concerned about safety. They're very, very concerned about bacon grease. I have found the trick is we just keep the burners low if we're making something like bacon, or if we are frying fish or something. That helps the kitchen not get too smoky. I do have the summer kitchen outside, so if I'm doing something really messy, like frying hamburgers, or most of the time I do my bacon outdoors, I do that. There really isn't an aesthetically pleasing way to vent this stove. So originally, for those of you that have seen this kitchen in its original state, there was an electric stove in the center of the room, and they had an exhaust fan. Basically, it was just this thing mounted above it that made a lot of racket. It really didn't do any good. Nothing has ever been vented out of the kitchen. The ceilings are wood planks and there's beams, and that's literally the floor above us. So while it's a new home, it's actually very old-fashioned in its construction. If we were to put a vent in, we would have to pipe something along the ceiling. It would be really ugly. It would ruin the beauty of the beams, the pattern. So I'm very content to live without a vent, and I simply just keep it really wiped down. Even with a vent, you get bacon grease, and stove areas are dirty. Have you seen what people's microwaves look like? They're pretty nasty. So I just try to keep the kitchen very clean and maintain it that way. I'm very particular about fire safety, so we have fire extinguishers in every single room. So for those of you that are concerned about that, I know I have a lot of stuff around my stove, can look like a fire hazard. There's actually a fire extinguisher right there. So number 8, where do you get your beeswax candles? I was purchasing my candles for a long time on Amazon, and then through Azure Standard, which is where I get a lot of my groceries, things that we don't grow here ourselves. But I do have a very good friend, and if you follow over on Instagram, you can see that she has started making candles. They're beautiful. I'm rather obsessed with beeswax candles, so I'm so happy these days to be purchasing from someone I know and love, and from someone who is accessing her beeswax from a local source. So I'm very glad to be buying that on a more intimate level. Number 9, where did you find your tile wallpaper? You can check out this episode right here where we put the wallpaper in. I found that over on Etsy. In my old kitchen, 2 kitchens ago, I had hand-painted tile to look like old Delft tile, and I plan on doing that in this space. Now back then, this was a long time ago, I just used standard Home Depot tiles 4x4, and right now I am on the hunt for tiles that have a crazed effect. So I'm trying to find tiles that are affordable, that have the little crackles and the crazing in them, and then I'll go ahead and hand paint those to look like the old Delft and put them up. To sort of warm myself up and acclimate myself to the idea, I put the wallpaper up. It's very reminiscent to me of Monet's kitchen. I actually want to do this entire kitchen area, do all the walls in tile. I love Monet's kitchen. It's just floor to ceiling, blue and white tile. It's absolutely beautiful. But to answer your question, the wallpaper is from Etsy. There's a link in this video description, and I've got it up there in the meantime while I am sourcing out the crazed tile that I'm looking for. And last but not least, question number 10, do you have any more plans for your kitchen? Absolutely. My house is never going to be done. It might be done, but it's never going to be done. And I would like to take out the countertops that we have and the existing cabinetry. That's one of the first things we did when we moved in. We took down all the upper cabinets. We did a lot of deconstructing in here, sort of, I call it neutralizing the ugly. So we took out a lot and we did what we could. We have birch logs holding up the counter now. I don't really want birch logs holding up the counter forever. It's charming. I would rather have some old beams or something more reliable. I would like to take out all the butcher block. It's literally falling apart. A lot of times before I film, I have to like hoik it up so it looks level. It's rustic and not in a good way. So I'd like to take them all out, maybe get a table in that space, maybe another butcher block along the wall. I'm really hoping that this summer, as I'm antiquing and sourcing things, I can find some really good pieces with this old world look, it's not something where I can just go in and do it all in one fell swoop. There's a lot of treasure hunting involved, and it usually takes a couple years. So I love this kitchen. I think it's beautiful, it's charming. The hearth came out just the way I wanted it to. I love the stone windowsill. I love the wallpaper and the chandeliers and the copper. There's so much that speaks to me, but it's still definitely a work in progress, and that's good because I wouldn't have it any other way. So thank you for joining me today. I think the kitchen is one of the most popular rooms in the home. It's my favorite room in the home. I wanted to answer these questions that I've noticed, this theme, these questions coming in over the last few years. I appreciate you being here. If you'd like to get caught up on the whole kitchen process and what we've done, you can check out this video here and this one right here. Make sure that you are a member of the Old World Design Society. If this style speaks to you, make sure you're subscribed, and I will see you very soon. A bientôt.